Victor Wembanyama did not spend this season proving he is a star.
When you talk about a guy that's arguably, he's going to be the best player on both ends of the floor in the next 2 years.
He's generational already.
I have a rule that I do not put a ceiling on Victor Wembanyama.
That part is already over. This season changed the question completely. Now the question is, how high can he climb if his body holds up and the Spurs keep building around him?
The Spurs can't treat this like a long-term rebuild. They've got to move quickly in putting a real team around him.
A few days ago, he made his own MVP case out loud, pointing to his defense, his overall offensive impact, and the way San Antonio has handled Oklahoma City this season. That is a wild thing to hear from a 22-year-old who has not even played in an NBA playoff game yet. It's also the kind of thing real superstars say once they stop asking for permission. That is why I think the 2025-26 season is the moment his story changed from future superstar to future all-time case. Quick pause. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe and follow along with us the rest of the way. Right now, the Spurs are 58-18. They're on a 10-game winning streak. Wembanyama is averaging 24.7 points, 11.5 rebounds, and 3.1 blocks a night. And he's still trying to reach the 65-game threshold after sitting out April 2nd against the Clippers for ankle management. He has played 61 games, so every remaining appearance matters. That makes the finish even more tense. He's chasing awards, chasing seeding, and chasing history all at the same time. That's not normal third-year stuff. That's how all-time arguments start sneaking into the room. The crazy part is that the league spent years preparing for a totally different story. They were bracing for the fragile giant story. Too tall, too thin, too many old examples of giant bodies breaking down before the career ever matched the imagination. People looked at the frame and saw a medical chart waiting to happen. They remembered Yao. They remembered Walton. They remembered Porzingis missing chunks of seasons. They remembered Chet losing a year before his real start. They saw the stress fracture talk from France, the weirdness of a 7'4" player moving like a wing, and they convinced themselves the downside was lurking right there. The hope, from the rest of the league anyway, was simple. Maybe this was another beautiful idea that would never fully survive the schedule. Then his rookie season arrived, and a lot of that fear already starting to look weak. He won Rookie of the Year unanimously. He averaged 21.4 points, 10.6 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and a league-best 3.6 blocks. He became only the second rookie ever to lead the NBA in blocks for a full season, and he made first-team All-Defense as a rookie, which has never happened before. He also became the youngest player to ever score 50 in a game during his second season, which gives you a sense of how fast the numbers started piling up. The Spurs still went 22-60, and that gave critics something to hide behind. They could say the stats were brilliant while the wins were missing. They could act like he was still just a spectacle. That argument got harder to defend with every month that passed. Year 2 was supposed to be the clean bridge into superstardom. Instead, it turned into the season that kept every pre-draft fear alive. He was on track for Defensive Player of the Year, the Spurs were improving, and then February 2025 brought the blood clot in his right shoulder. That was the kind of diagnosis that makes basketball feel small for a minute. He finished with only 46 games. He lost award eligibility. Evan Mobley ended up winning the defensive trophy. The outside reaction got loud again. Same old worries, same old talk about his frame. Same panic that maybe this is gonna be one of those careers where you spend more time discussing potential than actually watching greatness unfold. Those questions were fair for a while. They just didn't stay fair for very long. San Antonio did not react like a scared franchise. That matters. Greg Popovich stepped down as head coach in May 2025 and moved into the president role after 29 seasons.
I want to make sure everybody understands what the new job is.
With Mitch Johnson taking over full-time. Around the same broader stretch, the Spurs also made their De'Aaron Fox move and made it clear the plan was not wait and see. The plan was built around Victor now. That is one of the biggest reasons this season feels different from the outside. The team around him no longer looks like a nice future project. It looks like a serious structure. Fox is there. Stephon Castle is growing fast. Devin Vassell is part of the scoring output. Dylan Harper is in the mix. The organization stopped acting like it was waiting on Wemby's future. It started treating him like the present. And once this season started, the whole tone changed.
The victor, he's ahead of the pack, he just puts it on.
He came back stronger. The body looked sturdier. The game looked calmer. The shot diet looked smarter. The turnovers came down. The rebounding jumped. The defense became even more disgusting. Since January 1st, San Antonio has gone 31-9, ranking 3rd in defense, 4th in offense, and 2nd in net rating over that span. That is contender behavior, not cute league pass team behavior.
Wembanyama,
in March, they went 13-2, and Wembanyama won Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month for the 3rd straight month after averaging 3.7 blocks in March.
Spurs stepped in after Greg Popovich's health issues.
Oh my goodness.
Wembanyama at the rim with the block.
You can call that dominance. You can call it proof. I call it the exact moment the Spurs stopped feeling early and started feeling dangerous. The biggest difference, though, is the feeling he creates on the floor. Hakeem had that feeling. So did Peak Duncan. Giannis has his own version of it in transition. Curry changed the geometry of the whole game by dragging defensive out further than they wanted to go. Wembanyama is doing his own version of that in reverse. He shrinks the floor. He pulls entire possessions away from the rim just by standing there.
Playing against your dad in the driveway when you're 8 years old. What do you do?
Wemby 3, you bet!
Opponents are shooting 59.5% at the basket against them, which is 7.2 percentage points worse than the league average. And the Spurs defense improves by roughly 8 points per 100 possessions when he's on the court. That is more than shot blocking. That is emotional damage. Guys see him, and whole decisions get canceled mid-drive.
But the alley-oop is good! In crunch time!
Then the scoreboard started matching the theory. He dropped 41 and 16 against Chicago on March 31st.
Beautiful touch around the rim.
Wembanyama stepping back for 3. He can do it all!
The next night, he gave Golden State 41 and 18 in only 29 minutes.
Harper throws it up. Wembanyama throws it down just to fingertips.
Making him the youngest player ever with back-to-back 40-point, 15-rebound games. NBA.com also noted he became the only player in 50 years with consecutive games of at least 40 points, 15 rebounds, and 3 blocks. That is where the all-time angle really grabs me. Those are not normal franchise stat lines. Those are the kind of stat lines that make people start pulling 5 different legends into the same paragraph because one comparison is not enough. He also had that huge first half against the Lakers early in February, 37 points in one half, which was the highest scoring half by a Spur this century.
Every opportunity, that was a good-looking shot.
Wembanyama for 3. Kleba just left him wide open.
The season has been full of moments like that. Moments where the game stops and everyone kind of stares for a second. That's why I like thinking about him through lanes instead of lazy one-player comps. There's a Duncan and Robinson lane here because he changes a franchise's seriousness. There's a Hakeem lane here because the defense creates fear, not only blocks. There's a Durant lane because he's a giant perimeter scorer in ways the sport still does not fully know how to process. There's a Giannis lane because defenses know the pressure is coming and still can't settle it. Then there's the Curry lane, which might be the most interesting one. Curry stretched the court outward. Wembanyama bends it inward and upward. Steph himself told The Athletic he sees Wemby as the next great basketball revolutionary. That is a huge sentence, and honestly, it fits. The awards race is what makes this even louder. NBA.com moved him to number 1 on the MVP ladder on March 27, and the piece made the point clearly. If he won, he would become only the second 22-year-old MVP after Derrick Rose. At the same time, Defensive Player of the Year has started to look almost unfair. He leads the league in blocks again. He just took his 3rd straight monthly defensive award. Analysts are talking about him as the most dominant defensive player they have seen in decades. He is also openly arguing his own case on MVP now, saying defense is half of the game and saying his team's record against Oklahoma City matters. I love that. Superstars should sound like they know who they are. The only thing slowing the awards train is the games played rule. That is real tension. He still has to get there. There's still work left before I go completely off the deep end with it. He needs playoff proof. He needs the long durability run. He needs the years where the league starts designing entire off seasons around solving him, and he answers anyway. That part matters. Greatness is never a straight line. Curry said as much in that same conversation about Wemby, pointing out that the failure and playoff lessons are part of the path. I think that's fair. There is a difference between entering the all-time conversation and finishing high in it. Still, the important part is that we are already here way earlier than most careers allow. He is 22. The Spurs are 58-18. They've won 10 in a row. They've beaten Oklahoma City 4 times in 5 meetings. That's not future talk. That is current pressure. My prediction is aggressive, and I don't think it's crazy. If he stays reasonably healthy, Hall of Fame is the safe call. The bigger call is the real one. The conversation around him is going to move from can he be great to how high can he climb among the best players ever. That is where this season pushed him. He no longer looks like a player who might someday define an era. He looks like a player already leaning on the door. That is what makes this season feel so important to me. This was the year Victor Wembanyama stopped looking like the next great young star and started looking like the kind of force that can bend the whole league around him. And when a 22-year-old starts doing that, NBA history stops feeling far away.